Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today, I'm going to be making a chocolate cake that might be healthy. Might be because it contains no flour, no gluten, and it has lots of protein in it. It has lots of protein because we're going to be using black beans. Black beans are the backbone to this cake recipe. As I said earlier, there's no flour in this whatsoever, no rice flour, no grains, no wheat, because we're using mostly black beans, eggs, and some leavener, of course, some chocolate to make this a chocolate cake. But you also make this in the blender, so it comes together super fast. It bakes for about a half an hour, so it's easy to make too. All the wonderful things that we like in a recipe, but will it taste like chocolate cake? Will it taste like black beans, namely? And will it be delicious? I'm super curious about all these things, and that's why I'm going to be making this recipe today. Today's recipe is adapted from the Pancake Princess. I'll put a link down below to the original in case you are curious. So let's go ahead and get started. The first ingredient we're going to need are black beans. You can use one can that you buy from the supermarket, or you can cook them like I have and rinse them and drain them. This is 1 3/4 cups. Now, if you've got the time, highly recommend buying dried beans and cooking them. Rinse them first, put them in a big pot, cover them with a couple inches of water, bring that up to a boil, and then cover it, turn off the heat, and then I put it into a hot oven, preheated oven. And when I say hot, not very hot, about 300 degrees. And then I cook them for an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on the bean. I check them every half an hour or so to see if they're tender. So what I like to do is measure the beans in a 1/2 cup or 1 cup servings, put a little bit of the bean water, and then I put them in plastic freezer bags. And then I freeze them flat. And it's a wonderful way to have beans on hand. You can take them out, and because you've frozen them flat, they thaw out super quickly. And then I can use them in all kinds of recipes. So convenient and easy if you have the time to cook your beans, but so much cheaper. A bag of beans can go for $1, and you can get 6 batches, 6 cans worth, 4 cans worth. So it's so much cheaper. A can of beans can go from anywhere from $1 to even $2 a can, depending on the type of bean you get. All right, enough of that. Beans into my blender. Bloop. To that, we're gonna add some sugar. No flour in this recipe. I am super excited about this. As some of you may know, I've become sensitive to wheat. So, yay! Not yay that I'm sensitive to wheat, but yay that this is an option for cake for me. 4 beautiful eggs. We've had some really cold temperatures recently, and my hens continue to lay, but not nearly as frequently as they do in spring and summer. Pinch of salt. Vegetable oil, or you can also use butter if you like, but I find oil easier to have on hand. Don't have to melt anything. And this is mild olive oil, which I like to use in baking. Vanilla extract. Bloop. Now we're going to cover this and blend it till it's very well pureed. So let's check our consistency. It looks a little bit like cookies and cream. Little flecks of bean in there that we can see. Next, we're gonna add our cocoa powder, and it is recommended to use Dutch process cocoa powder, which is alkalized, which makes for a darker cocoa powder, and some people say it has more complex chocolatey flavor. And besides the eggs, we need some baking powder and baking soda for leavening. And another round of blending. Alrighty, to make things a little bit more festive, I've got 2 6-inch pans that I've lined with parchment paper, both on the bottom and on the sides. You can also make this in a single layer in an 8.5 or 9-inch pan if you like as well. But there's something just more festive about a stacked cake. And I'm gonna just give this one final stir and scrape. Looks like chocolate sauce, chocolate pudding. Smells like it too. Vanilla, chocolate, don't smell any bean whatsoever. Now, I'm pretty certain that this is going to be delicious because Pancake Princess, number 1, has vetted it. Number 2, I made many years ago black bean brownies, and no detectable taste of black bean whatsoever in that recipe. But I've never made cake. Because I want them to be even, I'm going to measure. So it's about 2 cups in each pan. Alrighty, now these go into a preheated 350-degree oven. We're going to cook for 30 to 35 minutes. Alrighty, my lovelies, I will see you when these are completely cooked and completely cooled before we frost. Okay, see you in a little bit. Alrighty, my lovelies, I have taken out the bean cakes from the oven, and now I'm going to unmold them onto a rack so they can cool off. So they've been cooling for 5 minutes. Here they are. They were much more poofed when they came out, right in the middle and a little bit cracked. And I stuck a toothpick in it, and when it came out mostly clean, I pulled them out of the oven, and for me, it took 30 minutes to bake. Okay. Remove the parchment paper from the sides. Beautiful. I'm actually going to place these outside because it's frigid out there, and there's a nice wind, so it should cool these cakes off pretty quickly. So while the cakes are cooling, let's go ahead and make our frosting. Today's frosting comes from Smitten Kitchen. I love this recipe. It's from her All I Want is Chocolate Cake recipe, and it includes this really simple frosting. I love it because it comes together super quickly because we make it in the food processor. This is so easy. It's become my traditional chocolate cake frosting for birthdays because it's easy and delicious. 1 stick of butter at room temperature. I've cut it into little pieces so it will warm up faster, and I've sprinkled it with a bit of kosher salt because this is unsalted butter and I want some salt in here, so it's just a good pinch. Next, we're going to add powdered sugar right into there. Some melted unsweetened chocolate. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? It's very bitter though because there's no sugar. And a little splash of vanilla. And it's turning into frosting. A tablespoon of milk. You can add heavy cream if you've got it. And you can add more depending on the consistency you want. Instant chocolate frosting. Now we're just going to wait for our cakes to completely cool, and we will ice and then give it a taste. Alrighty, my lovelies, I'm back with my cooled bean cakes, and now we're ready to frost. I'm going to grab my offset spatula, favorite tool for frosting, and grab one of our cakes. Nice and cooled, and after it's cooled, it actually settled down a bit. It was very mounded when it first came out of the oven, but cooled off nicely and nice and even, so I'm not going to even bother trying to trim this. Flip it over and remove the parchment paper. Very nice. We're going to take a third of this and place it in the middle of the cake. We don't need much. This frosting is very sweet, so just enough to stick things together because we need enough to frost the outside of the cake too. Next, we're going to do the other cake. Place that right on top. Now we're just going to frost the whole thing. When it comes to frosting cakes, I like to do things pretty simply and not too fussy. So I like the big kind of old-fashioned sweeps with the spatula. Occasionally I'll bring out a piping bag to do something special, usually for a birthday, but for just any old day, I'll just go with these kinds of swoopy marks. Alright, lovelies, here it is, the chocolate cake with the secret ingredient of black beans to make this a completely flourless cake. Beautiful, isn't it? So cute. Okay, let's give it a slice. Boom. Slices beautifully. Oh, look, that's gorgeous. That's perfect. Okay. I need a white plate. Look at this slice. Look at that slice. Oh my gosh, that's perfection. Ooh, that's beautiful. Oh man, that's stunning. Look at this slice. It's perfect. This might be the prettiest chocolate cake I've ever made. I mean, I've made a lot of chocolate cakes. The Ding Dong cake was pretty epic, but that was so much effort. You saw how I made this. This was very low effort. I made the batter in a blender, the icing in a food processor. It was so fast. And look at the results. Alrighty, most importantly, how does it taste? Is it gonna taste like black bean? Let's find out. Let's see its texture. Oh. That looks pretty stinking great to me. Alrighty, gluten-free, flourless chocolate cake. Here we go. Itadakimasu. Mmm. Mmm. That is good. It's bouncy, it's moist, plenty sweet, and I do not taste any black bean whatsoever. None. The texture is a little spongy. It's got a lot of spring to it. But it's chocolatey. The frosting has just the perfect amount of sweetness with the cake. Alone, it's too sweet, but with the cake, perfectly sweet. The cake isn't overly sweet, which I appreciate too. You really do need the frosting. Otherwise, it's a little bit too light. It's got a kind of moist spring to it. Not unpleasant. Reminds me of freshly baked banana bread in that regard. Excellent. Flourless, gluten-free, high protein chocolate cake that takes minutes to make, 30 minutes to bake. You could have this in an hour, this cake. Do it. It's great. Alrighty, my lovelies, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care. Bye! All right, I cannot wait to see what my kids think. Ah! See if they can ever guess it.